Kale the Quick here for another episode of Game Mechanics Engineering. This episode is going to be a bit more off the cuff. My computer broke this week, so I'm not really able to do any of the normal editing and recording that I'd normally do to make an episode. Anyway, it's no secret that elitism is rampant in the gaming community. Whether it's PC versus console, which shooter is the best, or anything else that goes along that, which MOBA is the best, elitism is really ingrained deep into the gamer culture right now. Whatever it is, it always comes down to mine is the best and yours is lame. So today on Game Mechanics Engineering, I'm going to spit in the face of all of that and talk about some of the best games ever made. What games? Back to square one indeed. Am I mad? Yes. So let's look at these games. Chutes and Ladders, or Snakes and Ladders, has a very long history, dating back all the way to the 1600s. The first real use of the phrase, back to square one, was actually in reference to the game. Coming from India, it's been adopted by various cultures simply by replacing the vices and virtues on the board. Oh, did I not mention that? Yeah, this game is totally about morality, and how you have no real power over destiny. Definitely appropriate for children. Let's take a look at the mechanics. They're actually short enough for me to go through them all. On your turn, use the random number generator, move that many spaces. If you land on a space with the beginning of a chute or a ladder, follow it forward or backward. At the end, you must move exactly onto the 100th space. You can be on the same spot as another pawn. And whoever gets to the 100th space first wins. Very simple. Let's take a look at the other game. Candyland has a much shorter history of only 66 years, and instead of morality, it gives us a world of pure decadence. The mechanics, however, are quite similar. Use the random number generator to determine where you'll go. Traditionally, this is a deck of cards, moved to either the first or the second colored block on the card or the picture you drew. If you land on a shortcut, move ahead. And where you really start to differ other than board layout is here. If you land on a licorice square, you lose your next turn. If you land on an occupied space, move to the next color. You can reach the end with any color, and also the picture cards can move you backwards as well. Both of these games are what's called racing games. It's just a matter of who can get to the last space as quickly as possible. I could say these games are the same. They do share a lot of their mechanics. Basically, you progress forward or backwards randomly until somebody reaches the end. Honestly, I'd usually call these games indeterminate progression as a kind of joke. They take exactly 0 skill to complete, and as such are literally the opposite of everything the pro gaming community strives for, which is, perfect skill and no randomness. So why would I bring them up as some of the best games ever made? Well, it's because they're some of the most important games ever made. They teach you what a game is and how it works. Think about it. At some point, we all needed to learn what a turn was. Beyond that, we needed to learn how to roll dice, or shuffle a deck, or move pieces around on a grid. Simple things that you don't really think of anymore had to be taught. These games are so simple mechanically that they would let kids or anybody learn the core mechanics that will be used over and over in games to come. Even Dungeons & Dragons, with all of its supplements, you take turns, you roll some dice, and you move your piece around a board. You may think that's so simple, why would it ever need to be taught, but it still does. In these games, they exist without other mechanics to muddle the lesson. They also show that rules allow for structure. Anybody can just pick up a piece and place it at the end of the board and say I've won, but they haven't. You need to follow the rules in order to win the game. I don't know if simplicity really counts as a mechanic, but it is something that really needs to be considered when you're talking about games or game mechanics. We have really complex games out nowadays, and I love them. I even harp on games that release that don't have the complexity that they used to have. But now that I've actually been trying to study games and I'm looking back at things, I understand that simplicity is really important. Maybe not to the level of these games, but there needs to be games that are simple enough for people to become comfortable with before they progress to more intricate or demanding games. Shooters that bring people of different skill levels together, or real-time strategy games that stop at the most basic of concepts. Look at Solitaire on Windows. That was created specifically to teach people how to use the click and drag and drop interface that would be very important to getting around the rest of the operating system. Or something like Angry Birds just a few years ago. I saw the oldest, most technologically illiterate people pick up an iPhone, play that game, and immediately just learn how to use a touchscreen. They were pros in a matter of minutes. A virtual racing game that could be seen as kind of the same niche would be the Mario Kart series. Just simple, colorful fun with a low emphasis on skill and a high degree of, bringing everybody together with rubber banding. These games were the first for some of us, an important stepping stone onto greater things. I love my flight simulators, and I miss some of the depth of Morrowind. But simple games need to exist. It's important that they do, and it's good that they do. So while Candyland and Shoots and Ladders may not be the most complicated games, or to adults the most fun, I'd say that they are some of the best. Thanks for watching this quick episode. Hopefully by next week my computer will be fixed and I'll be able to go into something a little bit more in depth. Maybe something related to real-time strategy games. Well, leave your comments where I can find them, rate this video so I can get some feedback, and subscribe. I'm Kale the Quick. Thanks for watching, and don't die until you see my next episode.
In some games, things like respawning is just added without any sort of justification, and that could be considered a pure mechanic as well. Representative mechanics would be mechanics